You're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yeah.
Hi.
You have entered an area of the mind that stretches beyond reality, into a dimension where all things become possible. Just imagine if, when, where, what, how much have you got? If you've got it together, if so, how often? Which do you choose? The hard or soft option? You're probably wondering why, how. Well, this part of the mind is located within the matrix itself. And I need your help with something. So journey with me into the Dark Zone.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on which of the 24/25 time zones you are listening to this show from. And welcome back to WCAK 1124 AM on your dial. I am your host, Sal Rock. Welcome back to the Dark Zone. Sit with me for the next 60 minutes within the matrix of the mind. On the show tonight, we feature open lines, and that means no interviews, no guests tonight. This show belongs completely to you, people. Topic: bizarre paranormal events that have happened in your life. If you don't have any for bizarre ones, then just sit back, light a candle, grab some popcorn, and enjoy what you are about to hear. Any newsworthy stories tonight? I don't see anything in the headlines. The one that impacts us is we have a new sponsor here on the show, the Oasis conglomerate. And yes, that's the Oasis company that you see having everything under their umbrella, from motels to beer to sodas to chips to bacon to watches. You name it, they've got it under their umbrella. The reason why that's important is that cuts down on our sponsor time, as they are now exclusive. We now only are obligated to do one short break at the quarter mark, one short break at the 3/4 mark, and that's it. That gives us more time on the air with you and great topics and stories. So let's get on with it. Let's kick off tonight's show by starting with an email from Hank R. in Missoula, Montana. Hank writes, Sal, I've been debating whether to send this, but something happened yesterday, and now I have to. I listen to your show every week from my place outside Missoula, Montana. I'm 63, retired, live alone, ex-Navy. I'm not one of those stories or superstition type of people, but back in February, a crow started showing up on my front porch. A big one. Just one. Bigger than normal. Glossy black, almost blue in the right light. He perched himself on the rail every morning right outside before sunrise and just stares at my front door. No cawing, no flapping around, just watching and staring. At first, I figured it was after food, so I tossed out some bread. He didn't eat that. Tried peanuts, still nothing. My neighbor joked I had a spirit crow, and I just laughed that off. But after a few weeks, it became a routine. Every morning at 5:23 a.m. on the dot. After 2 months of this, I decided to get a little weird with it. I started talking to him through the screen door. I said stuff like, "What do you want, bird? And you follow me? Are you following me? Are you tracing me or something?" Just trying to lighten the creep factor a little bit. Then one morning, he wasn't there. First time in 70 straight days. I felt a little bit uneasy, but the next morning he came back, and this time he brought something. He dropped it on the welcome mat and flew off. It was a strip of paper, yellowed and torn and rolled up, kind of like a fortune cookie slip. I unrolled it, and it said, "You will die on October 3rd, 2025. No handwriting. It looked printed like one of those super old typewriters, the kind with imperfect ink and, blots. I thought it was a prank. Threw it out, but the next day, there were 2 more notes. One read, There is no changing it. The other, you have been told. Now I'm freaked. I called animal control, tried trapping it, nothing worked. It just won't leave. It just watches every single morning. Here's where it gets worse. I finally told my sister about it. She lives down in Arizona. I figured maybe I was losing it. She asked me to send a picture, and I snapped a photo of the crow through the screen door and texted it to her. She called me crying, saying, Hank, that's the same crow that came to our house in 1987, right before Mom died. I swear to God, it's the same damn bird. Well, I thought she was just messing with me, but then she texted her old photo, an old Polaroid from September 1987. The bird is sitting on our mother's porch. Same posture, same scar over its right eye, that same dead stare that it has. And here's the ticker. It came back to me, and I rechecked it. I looked up the date my mom died. October 3rd, 1987. 38 years to the day. You tell me, Sal, what the hell is this thing? And why do I get the feeling I'm not the one who's going to die that day? That's from Hank R. in Montana. Well, Hank, if you're listening tonight, don't throw away any other notes. October 3rd might not be the end. It might be the beginning of a pattern repeating, maybe over and over. And if Crow isn't warning you about your death, maybe it's warning you that someone else close to you has a death coming up. Maybe someone you could possibly save. Well, here we go. That already puts us deep in the thick of it here on the Dark Zone, WCAK 1124 AM, where the strange, the unspeakable, and the downright horrifying are always welcome. Line 6, you are on the air. Who is this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Sal, this is Kurt. I'm calling from outside Knoxville. I'm a picker. Been going to estate sales and junk barns and flea markets for nearly 20 years. But this thing I found a few weeks ago, I ain't touched it since, and I haven't slept right either.
All right, Kurt. Take your time. What did you find?
Well, it was a little cedar box, old, hand-carved. Had like a weird burn mark on the top that looked kind of like a symbol. It was a circle with 4 lines crossing through it, kind of like a compass, but somehow wasn't. I bought it for $5 from this guy at a flea market off Highway 11E. Said it came out of a hoarder's house in Blount County. Now, inside the box was a folded up piece of parchment. Looked really old, cracked edges, smelled like mildew, and sometimes like something metallic or something. But there was a map, hand-drawn, real detail. It showed part of the Smoky Mountains near Cades Cove, marked with a big red X. And in the corner, someone had scrawled, "For those who hear the calling."
Sounds like a classic treasure map to me. You did go looking for it, right?
Yeah, Sal, against my better judgment. I waited until the next weekend, took my metal detector and my gear, hiked into the spot. It took me about 4 hours, and I found it. The exact spot. Big old tree with the hollow knot, just like the map showed. I dug about 3 feet down, and my spade hit something. Thought it was a box or a crate or something at first, but it wasn't. It was canvas. Old, rotted, wrapped around something human-shaped.
Uh-oh.
Well, uh-oh is right, Sal. I pulled it up. A human body. Mummified, but kind of. Skin like leather. Eyes still there, but dried out, like they'd been watching something for a real long time. And this is where it gets real bad. The corpse was holding something. It was another box. It was the same kind as the one I bought. The cedar, same burn mark. And when I opened it, there was another map. Only this one had a different X and a name written in the bottom corner.
Well, what was the name?
Sal, it was mine. I proceeded to bury it back. I covered it up, and then ran back to my truck and I drove home. But ever since then, I've been hearing whispers at night in the woods behind my house. Sometimes I see a lantern light walking around back there, moving through the trees, and I swear to you, something's been digging near my shed. There's fresh dirt dug up and long claw marks in the soil.
Whoa, wait a minute. You're telling me your name was in the corner of it? What? I don't think that you found a treasure map at all. I think you found some sort of a warning.
Well, Sal, I think someone's coming for the box. Or maybe for me.
If anyone out there has seen that symbol, the circle with 4 lines through it, looks kind of like a compass, but not really, don't follow the map and don't dig anywhere. In fact, if anyone knows what that symbol is, if you've seen it before or you know exactly what it means, shoot an email to the show, or even better, call in and let us know what you think. Kurt from Knoxville, I want to thank you for that call. Wildcard line, you are on the air.
Hey Sal, this is Jeremy, calling you from Texas. First time caller, long time listener.
Go ahead, Jeremy. What do you have for us?
Well, I wasn't sure if I should even tell this. I've sat on it for like 2 years now. Anyway, I've told just a few people, and I get stares at me like I need to be on some sort of medication or seek, that professional help. So anyway, it was the late summer 2023. I was driving cross country, solo, from California back to Texas, after visiting my brother out there. I was taking the scenic routes like I like to, and that night I decided to cut through New Mexico. Beautiful desert skies and barely any traffic, just peace and the stars. I was just past midnight and I was outside of Gallup, that long stretch near the reservation. No towns, no gas stations, just miles of desert sky. And I just remembered the moon was out, it was bright, and it felt like I was driving through a dream. Then, well, everything changed.
Well, what do you mean? What changed?
Well, first, the radio, it just went silent. Next, there was no static, not even dead air, just like gone, like the speakers, they had never been there to begin with. Then the headlights dimmed, flickered like they were underwater, and the whole sky just like blinked out. No stars, no moon, just black, like someone pulled a blackout curtain across the heavens. That's when I pulled over. I was suddenly ice cold, and even though it had been warm all night, I looked down at my watch. It was 1:03. Then, Sal, I swear, something moved past the car like a shadow, but taller than the car, long. I didn't see exactly. I just felt it like it was studying me. And that's the last thing I remember.
So, did you black out, or what happened?
Well, the next thing I know, I'm slumped over the wheel, engine off. My mouth was dry and my hands were shaking. I looked up. Sky was back to normal. Moon was out. Air was warm again. Checked the dash clock, and it was 3:12 a.m. 2 full hours were gone. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know where they went. I hadn't moved. The car hadn't moved. My seatbelt was still on. But Sal, my phone, that somehow got onto the passenger seat, and it was dead. Battery drained to 0. When I got to the gas station later that morning, I charged it up, and that's when I saw it. 58 new photos.
Photos? Photos of what?
Well, Sal, they were photos of me, all grainy, all taken inside the car, all from behind. Someone or something had been in the back seat, taking pictures, one after another. I'm in every frame, eyes closed, slumped over the wheel, and in the last photo, Sal, there's a hand, just barely in the frame, long, thin, gray, fingers like bone, reaching from a shoulder.
Jeez Louise, man. So what happened?
Well, I checked the car. No signs of break-in. Doors were locked from the inside. No prints, no footprints outside. I even had the phone looked at by a tech guy. That the photos were taken with an app, not metadata, just appear. I tried deleting them. It came back the next day, same 58, same order, like they were burned into the phone. I don't know what happened during those 2 hours, but something studied me. Whatever it was, it didn't need to open the door to get in the damn car.
Now, Jeremy, I believe you. And you're not the only one who's experienced something like this out there near Gallup. I've had several calls in the past telling me similar stories, and actually similar stories about this, taking pictures on their phone thing. That stretch of road has a reputation. Native stories talk about sky people that they don't come in ships. They walk in sideways through the cracks in reality. But I thank you for that call, Jeremy. We are right at the quarter-hour break, and we will be right back after this message from our new sponsor, Oasis.
In a world that never stops rushing, some things just demand a pause. Oasis cigars, hand-rolled, rich, unforgettable. Along with the Sabre, a statement to make because real luxury isn't loud. It's the quiet confidence, the slow burn. Oasis cigars. Light up the legend within and make Oasis your basis or light.
Welcome back to the Matrix of the Mind here in the Dark Zone on WCAK 1124 AM. I am your host, Sal Rock. Tonight we've been talking about bizarre paranormal events that have happened in people's lives, and we have had some good ones so far. Let's jump right back into it. Toll-free line, you are on the air.
Hi, Sal. This is Joan in Provo, Utah. I hope this is the right kind of story. It's not exactly ghosts or aliens, but it's something that still gives me chills.
Well, look, Joan, if it's strange, if it haunts you, it belongs here. So go ahead. What do you have for us?
Well, okay, Sal. So this happened in 2011, and I was living in Portland at the time. I had moved into my first apartment. You know, it was a super old building, kind of those creaky kind of floors, you know, clawfoot tub, real vintage vibes. Well, I wanted furniture that matched the aesthetic, so, you know, I went down to this tiny thrift store downtown, and the place was barely a storefront, more like, you know, somebody's dusty attic kind of thing. But in any event, I found this old, dark wood dresser. I remember it was just so heavy as hell, and the handles were all carved ornately on it. I loved that kind of thing. The guy told me that it came from an estate sale, but he just, you know, didn't have any more information on it, didn't really know how old it was. Anyhow, I get it home, right? And while I'm cleaning it out, I find something wedged under the bottom drawer. You know, it's taped up all in there, like somebody had hid it in there. Turned out it was a small velvet ring box.
All right, now this already sounds like it's the start of a haunting.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. But when I opened it, it wasn't cursed or anything. It was a wedding ring, a simple gold band, age, looked like it hadn't seen the daylight, you know, in decades maybe. But here's where it got weird, Sal. I looked inside the ring, and there was an inscription inside of this band.
Well, what did it say?
It said, "To Walter," and a date of 12/6/41, yours, Millie. Now I know that's December 6th, the day before Pearl Harbor. I didn't know what to do with it, so I called my mom, and she was intrigued and laughed with me and saying that's what her father used to call her mom, my grandmother. I never heard anyone call my grandmother anything other than Mildred. But we both laughed, and then my mom went silent for a moment, and she said quietly, "Hey, wait a minute, read that inscription to me again." And I read the inscription back to her, and her voice got very shaky and asked me to send a picture of it right away to her. You see, Sal, my grandfather's name was Walter, but we all knew him as Bud, which was his middle name. Well, hell, I didn't even know that his first name was Walter at the time.
Wait a minute, you're not sane, are you?
Yes, An hour later, my mom called me back crying, saying it was grandmother's ring. She had given it to my grandfather Walter the night before he shipped out to the war.
My God, this is an incredible story so far. Go ahead. I want to know what happens.
Well, she said he lost it somewhere on the base before he had boarded the train. They searched for a day or two, and then he ended up going to the war without it. He survived the war, thank God, but he never found it. They got married with a new band, but she always talked about the original one like it was a ghost she carried around or something. Well, Sal, that ring sat in the drawer for over 70 years, and somehow I was the one that found it. My grandmother passed away shortly after that in 2011, but I will be wearing that ring when I get married next year, and I'm so excited about it. The strange part about all this is my grandmother came to me in a vision in my bedroom, like one night, about 2 years ago, and told me, the ring waited for love to find it again. She was standing at the foot of my bed, same lavender robe she always wear, hair all curled up like she always had, like in the old black and white photos. I should have been terrified, but, I wasn't, Sal. It felt warm in the room, like a spring sunlight. She didn't say anything other than, the ring waited for love to find it again, and I believe that.
Well, Joan, thank you for this call, and you're dead wrong. This call does belong here. It just goes to show you that not all paranormal events have to be horrifying or through a demon or an alien scaring you to death. This is a fantastic paranormal story that does belong here. Wild card line, you are on the air. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Hi, Sal. It's Mitch in Tennessee. I've been listening for a long time, but never thought I'd ever have a reason to call. And that changed all last fall. I'm still not sure what happened, but I haven't really been the same since.
Well, all right, Mitch. Well, tell us what happened.
I went back to my hometown in Pennsylvania last October. Small place, lots of old growth forest. I hadn't been back there nearly 30 years. My parents passed and I inherited the house. I feared I'd clean it out and maybe sell it. Well, I was walking through the woods behind the property one morning, and that forest back there was my whole world when I was a kid. I built forts and dug holes, played with imaginary friends. You know how it is. But this time, I took a path that I didn't remember being back there. It was narrow and overgrown, like it hadn't been walked in decades. Something about it felt familiar, though, like I should remember that path, but I just couldn't quite. Well, a few minutes in, I saw him. A kid, maybe 10 years old, sitting on a log, holding a red toy airplane. Stopped cold. Sal, it wasn't just that he looked familiar. He felt familiar. Like I can't even really explain. He looked exactly like I did when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old.
So, are you trying to tell me that you saw yourself when you were a kid?
Yes, exactly like me. Same clothes I used to wear, blue windbreaker, high-top sneakers, even the patch on my knee where I fell off a bike when I was 8. I stood there frozen, and he looked up at me, smiled, and said, "You came back too late."
Too late? Too late for what?
I don't know how to answer him. I just said, "Who are you?" And he answered that with, "I'm what you left behind." Then he stood up and ran deeper into the woods. I chased after him. Branches snapping, thorns tearing me up. But every time I got close, it was just a little further ahead. Finally, I came down to the clearing I swear never existed. I don't remember that clearing at all. Trees all dead and gray. It all felt like wrong, just off. Like the air was heavy. Well, in the middle, there was an old, really wide tree with an opening in the trunk, like a doorway or a gateway or something. The boy, myself, I guess, walked in and vanished.
You mean like just gone?
Like smoke. But here's the part that chilled me. Hanging from a nail on the side of the tree was an old Polaroid. And it was me, but it was adult me. Standing in that very clearing, looking straight at the camera. Sal, I don't remember that picture ever being taken. But there it was. And written on the bottom in faded marker, Stop looking. He's already inside.
Inside? Inside what? Or maybe is the question, inside where?
Well, that's where I wondered. Then I heard something move behind me in the trees. Well, I just ran, and I didn't stop until I got back to the house. Locked every door, and I didn't sleep at night. And here's a kicker. The next day I found that toy airplane in my suitcase. The same red one, scratched the same way I remembered it when I was a boy. But Sal, I had lost that airplane in the woods when I was 9.
Do you think you went back in time?
Well, I think I crossed something. Maybe time, maybe something evil. But that wasn't just some innocent childhood encounter. That kid, I don't think it was me. I think he was luring me to the tree. For what? I had no idea. But I'll never go back there again, that's for damn sure.
Well, caller, I don't know if you encountered evil, if you encountered a time travel, if that tree was a portal to another time or another dimension of evil. I'm not quite sure what was going on there or who was trying to lure you to the tree or why. I'd like to hear if somebody has a theory on this. Go ahead and call in and share it. Line 3, you are on the air.
This is Melissa from Eastern Side, Oregon. This happened last October, right before Halloween. We have lots of woods and lots of gravel roads out there, and our golden retriever, Max, he ran off one night, chased something into the trees, and he just never came back. I mean, we searched for him for days. We posted online, we asked neighbors, we even checked with animal control, but nobody had seen him, and he was just vanished. So after about 3 weeks, we held a little ceremony, and my husband and I lit a candle for him. I mean, he was only 7 years old, so that's like, a 49 in dog life? So he was still young. But exactly about 1 month later, I wake up in the middle of the night for just no reason, just with an eerie feeling. And I remember it was so quiet, like dead quiet, Sal. I look down at the end of the bed, and Max is just sitting there, like he always used to, tail wagging, like so happy to see me. I swear, Sal, I felt his presence even. I even reached out to touch him, but when my hand moved through him, I started to realize that I could see the dresser through his body.
Your hand went through him?
He looked at me one last time, then walked out of the room. The odd part? We always sleep with our bedroom door closed. That's our rule. Closet door closed, bedroom door closed, before we go to sleep. But in the morning, the door was wide open, and on the floor in the hallway was Max's old collar. Now here's the strange part about all that.
As if your hand going through him wasn't weird enough.
Well, Sal, we buried that collar with a few of his toys in that ceremony. That collar was 3 feet buried down into the ground, the last I saw it.
Well, thank you for that call, and this isn't the first time I've heard of a dog returning like this. I believe I was listening to one of the old Artville Ghost to Ghost episodes one night, and someone called in with a dog on the porch paper out story where he was seeing this dog for years and continuing to pet him, and a few days later ran into the owner who informed him the dog had passed away some 3 weeks prior. So strangeness happens, people. Strangeness happens. Well, we have to take our half-hour break for the news, and we will continue with the calls right after this.
Top stories in sports. The 1900 Paris Olympics featured live pigeon shooting as a medal event. Little known that there were over 300 pigeons killed during that competition. In baseball, Sports Illustrated has published that Sid Finch can throw a fastball at 168 miles per hour. The event would have caused Taylor Swift to break out in an Irish jig while singing Wellerman Sea Chanty if it were not a hoax. In soccer, during the 1994 World Cup qualifying match, Chilean goalkeeper Roberto Rojas faked being hit by a flare, leading to an extremely controversial situation. In the weather, Russia has suffered an 8.8 earthquake off the coast. Tsunami warnings were as far away as the west coast of the United States. In other weather, the desert has been hot, the mountaintops cold, and the flatlands have been a perfect 74 degrees. World news, the stock market went up, and then went back down, and is predicted to do so mostly every day. June 30th, 1908, a mysterious and powerful explosion rocked a remote area of Siberia, near the Tunguska River in Des Moines, flattening over 800 square miles of forest, an area larger than New York City. Witnesses reported seeing a fireball streak across the sky, followed by a blinding flash and a thunderous shockwave that shattered windows and knocked people off their feet 100 miles away. Scientists believe the explosion, likely caused by a meteor or comet fragment, released energy equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, roughly 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. No impact crater has been found, leading experts to suspect the object disintegrated mid-air. Though the region is sparsely populated and no confirmed deaths have been reported, the event remains the largest atmospheric explosion of its kind recorded history, and a chilling reminder of the power of cosmic forces. WCAK News Time, 10:31.
Welcome back to the Dark Zone, WCAK 1124 AM on your dial. This is your host, Cell Rock. We have been into the paranormal, the bizarre events that have happened to people, and we have had some good ones. Before we get back into the calls, I was sent this news article by a listener coming from the San Francisco Gazette. At approximately 11:42 a.m., Oliver Grant, a 38-year-old freelance journalist, was killed while walking beneath a scaffolding-covered sidewalk in the Mission District. According to witnesses, a large antique piano fell from the fifth-floor window of an apartment building undergoing renovations and struck Grant, killing him instantly. The immediate conclusion was that it was a tragic accident. But the story took a sharp turn after a routine autopsy and investigation raised several inconsistencies and revealed a sequence of events more bizarre than any expected. The medical examiner found that Oliver was already dead before the piano hit him. Time of death was estimated to just be seconds earlier, caused by a poison overdose, cyanide, fast-acting, precise, and intentional. Toxicology confirmed this. Now the death had all the hallmarks of a suicide. But if he had already been dead, then why was he walking upright on the sidewalk moments before the piano struck? Security footage showed Oliver stumbling down the sidewalk, clutching his chest and sweating heavily. Moments before reaching the scaffolding, he stopped, turned as if to go back, then collapsed, just as the piano fell directly on top of him. Investigators discovered that the piano was not supposed to be moved that day. However, a local moving crew had shown up unexpectedly, claiming to be a scheduled pickup. A scheduling mix-up between the building superintendent and a third-party app had them arriving 2 hours earlier. When the movers tilted the piano to maneuver it out the window, one of the old ropes snapped, sending the instrument down with perfect timing. Police discovered that the apartment the piano fell from belonged to Oliver's estranged father, Arthur Grant, a reclusive jazz pianist who had become a YouTube sensation late in life. The two hadn't spoken in over a decade. When questioned, Arthur admitted the piano held deep sentimental value. He had refused to part with it, but relented under pressure from the building management. Oliver, who had been battling depression, had been following his father on online success and growing bitter. Investigators found a draft article on Oliver's laptop titled Frame, Fraud, and the Father Who Forgot Me. The real twist? The cyanide Oliver used had been taken from Arthur's old chemistry set stored in the same apartment. Oliver had broken into the building, taken the poison, and seemingly chose to walk past the apartment during the exact time the window movers were mistakenly scheduled. His intent may have been suicide, but the falling piano turned it into something else. After 2 weeks' review, the coroner listed the cause of death as suicide by poisoning. The piano strike was officially deemed post-mortem blunt trauma. However, the manner of death was listed as undetermined, suicide intersected by accidental death. Oliver Grant had intended to take his life, but not by the piano. The piano would not have fallen except due to a series of random coincidences involving people he resented. And yet, had it not fallen, his body would have simply been found on the sidewalk, the victim of a private death, not a public spectacle. Well, there you have it. Now, the strangest part of this story to me is that Oliver Grant is the cousin of Ronald Opus. Figure that one. Let's see. First time caller line. You are on the air.
Hey, Sal. Name's Chris. I'm calling from Flagstaff, Arizona. Been a big fan of the show, man. Good stuff again tonight. Well, this happened to me last September, but it's never stopped bothering me. It's just eating away at me.
All right. Well, tell us what happened then.
So I like to hike a lot. Always have. Last year, my buddy Josh and I were out exploring in trail system in the Bradshaw Mountains. It's a remote area, not really maintained anymore. We were about 10 miles in, off trail, looking for this old mining camp marked on an antique survey map that I bought at a swamp meet. We were losing daylight when Josh spotted something, maybe 40 yards off the ridge, but looked like a collapsed entrance of a mine shaft. Totally overgrown and half buried in scrub. Now, I've seen shafts before, Sal. They're usually fenced off or filled in, but this one, it was open. It's really narrow, like someone had cut it at an angle into the rock. There were old rails leading inside, all rusted out, but, they were still there in it, and a wooden post with faded red markings, almost like tally marks, just carved over and over again into the wood.
Did you guys go in?
No way, man. We tossed a rock down and didn't hear it hit bottom, and that's not a good sign. We took a few pictures and, flagged the GPS, and we headed back to camp. Well, here's where it really got weird. That night, Josh wakes me up in the tent. Says he had just had a dream about a man with no eyes, just smooth skin where the socket should be, telling him, go back and finish the count. I laughed it off. I was thinking to myself, you might have got a little heat stroke out there that day, right? Well, the next day, we tried to find the shaft again. Retraced our steps exactly. And Sal, it was gone, man. We spent 6 hours searching that terrain and just, the terrain hadn't changed. The rock face was the same. The ridge line matched up, but no rails. No carved posts. Just empty hillside like it had never been there. We even pulled up the GPS from the day before, and when we got to the exact spot, it was just brush. Like nothing had ever been dug there.
You are sure that you guys marked this correctly, right?
No, man, positive, man. I even had a photo from the night before. Here's the thing, though. 2 weeks later, Josh went missing. Not on a hike. He was home in his apartment. Door locked from the inside, no forced entry. Cops came and investigated and said it looked like he got up and got a glass of water or something and just never came back. And in his kitchen, they found a stick of old blasting chalk. Just like the kind miners used to use tunnel to mark the tunnel walls with. You know what I mean? This big chalk they had. The chalk, it had 6 tallies carved into it. Just like that post did.
And how many tallies do you remember on that post?
I remember 7. I know there was 7. In fact, the picture shows there was 7. I ain't never going back there. There's still a 7th mark to be filled, if you believe in that kind of stuff.
Well, caller, I do believe that strange things happen. And I do believe that there's a lot of odd events that go on. And if you want to call them paranormal, then label it whatever you want to label it. But I believe there's a veil between this time that we are all in and another dimension. And that dimension could be in different times. It could be in different locations. I'm not sure. We'll leave that, as a discussion for another time. toll-free line. You are on the air.
Good evening, Sal. This is Dr. Spears. I'm here in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm a retired cultural anthropologist, but for the past 20 years, I've studied fringe cultic movements and ancient mapping practices, particularly those tied to objects and supernatural resonance. And tonight, I believe we've stumbled upon something I've only ever read about in fragments, and maybe possibly is from some personal experience.
Okay, doctor, but what are you referring to exactly?
Well, what your first caller, and I believe his name was Kurt, described matches up with scattered references to a defunct cult known as the Cartographer's Covenant. They existed pre-colonial Europe through traces of their practices migrated to early Appalachia and the Midwest through secret societies. They believed the earth was riddled with spiritual coordinates, not just places, but moments in time, frozen in decay. Their leaders were known as mappists, obsessive recorders who didn't map landscapes, they mapped fates. According to text recovered in 1939 from a sunken chapel in southern France, the Covenant would select individuals, usually at random, and inscribe maps leading them to preordained locations of death. They were called living graves. And once a person followed the map, they became linked, marked, like a pin in a curse chart.
So are you saying the boxes, they're not just warnings? They're some kind of like a summons?
Precisely. And the burn mark on each cedar box, that is the seal of intersection. It represents a convergent point between the physical world and what they called the cartographer's room, a realm where time collapses and destiny is cataloged in endless scrolls. Those who open the box are written into it.
Well, doctor, are there more boxes?
Yes, there's more boxes, but no one knows how many. I've tracked 5 confirmed cases over the past decade. One woman in Oregon vanished after following her map into Crater Lake. A man in Quebec set fire to his house after finding his name etched to a stone beneath his basement. They all followed the map. They all, well, let's say ended.
Well, doctor, let me ask you this. What happens if you don't follow it?
Well, the stories say if you resist the summons, the map eventually comes for you. In dreams, it scratches on the walls and mirrors that reflect rooms that don't exist, until eventually it doesn't need to show you the way anymore, because it's already there.
Doctor, are you still with us?
I just heard something in my study. I left my box in the attic years ago. I should have burned it. Oh, I think it might have just...
I believe that we have just lost the doctor. I tell you, some of the strangest phone calls that we get here on this show are not necessarily scary paranormal stories. Stuff like this happens sometimes. Line 1, you are on the air.
Yeah, Sal, this is Rob, calling from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I haven't talked about this out loud, not once that I remember, but after that story earlier about the tree and the boy in the forest.
Well, you've come to the right place here, Rob, so tell us what happened. What's your story?
Okay, well, this is almost exactly 2 years ago, July 2nd. Me and 3 of my cousins, David, Reggie, and Marcus, we all got together at my late Uncle Warren's place after the estate finally cleared probate. The house had been in the family forever, real old, late 1800s, kind of falling apart at the seams. But what it had was mostly history and bad air. You see, Uncle Warren was, let's just say, not a good man. I won't sugarcoat it. Everyone in the neighborhood knew to steer clear of him. Rumors, a temper. Things went missing, cats, dogs, and in 1978, a kid, 8 years old, lived 3 doors down, vanished without a trace. Warren was questioned. Nothing ever stuck.
And I'm assuming that the 4 of you were in the house after he's passed, correct?
Yeah, the guy died alone in that house. The coroner said he had been sitting upright in a chair in the attic for nearly a week before anyone found him. Windows nailed shut, dead bolts on the inside. No cause of death was ever even confirmed. His heart just stopped, ours we know. But that night, the four of us, his four nephews, we got to drinking, telling stories, and someone said, half joking, "Hey, we should try to contact you through a seance. See if he finally will admit that he did it to that poor boy in 1978. Well, there was this old table, thick, carved oak. You know, the top of it was probably 4 inches thick. Been in the house forever. A note right above it, there was a wrought iron chandelier. Yeah, that damn thing probably weighed 80 pounds, Sal, if it weighed an ounce. Ugly as sin, it was all old and black, you know. Well, we sat in a circle, got a candle going. One of us read the old incantation Reggie found in a book that was already in the house. I don't know, Latin or something, maybe, that none of us knew what it was said. Then Marcus asked the question, "Uncle Warren, did you take that boy?" And then that's when it happened, Sal.
Oh man, what happened?
Well, there was no wind, no quake, no explosion. But that chandelier, dead center above the table, fell straight down. Didn't sway, didn't move, it just fell straight down. It just dropped like it had been yanked by a wire. Smashed onto the middle of the table with a sound that I'm never going to forget. Wood splintered, candles went flying. Well, we all screamed and jumped back, but Sal, not one of us really got hit directly by it, except for one detail. Each of us, all four of us, were bleeding from the exact same place. The right hand, pinky finger, all of them were gone. Not crushed. There was a clean slice off. But we wrapped up real quick and we rushed to the ER and docs couldn't explain it. He said, the docs said that it looked like surgical removals. No burns, there's no shards in it. Nothing embedded. And the chandelier? How the chain it hung from was still intact. No rust, no weakness. It's like it just let go, I don't know, and just like let go upon someone's command.
So did you guys go back, or did anyone else from the family go back and clean that place out? Was anything else found there in the house?
Well, 2 weeks later, my cousin David found something in the attic, insulation. A shoe, size 2, child's. Inside was a tiny dog tag, and it had a name on it. Same name as that missing kid from 78. Now, we turned it in, we got a hold of the cops, we went down there and the cops reopened the case, but since Warren was already gone, nothing really ever came of it. And I think they weren't able to notify the family and let them know that, what they suspected, but that was about it. Only thing I knew for sure, we asked the question that shouldn't have been asked that night, and all four of us paid the price with the pinky finger.
Well, caller, I want to thank you for that call. This is what this show is all about, but we are right up against it. I've got to get to our final break of the evening. We'll be back right after these words from our sponsor, Oasis.
Out on the open road, there's a place where the coffee's hot, the jukebox never quits, and the pie tastes like your mama never left. Welcome to Oasis Diner, where the lights are low, the seats are soft, and every plate comes with a side of soul. Whether you're headed home or just passing through, cool off, fuel up, and stay a while. Oasis Diner. Burgers, shakes, and memories.
Make Oasis your basis for life.
Welcome back to the Dark Zone, WCAK, 1124 AM on your dial. I am your host, Del Rock. We're not going to waste any more time as we head into this last segment. We are running out of time, people, so let's jump in. Line 1, you are on the air.
Evening, Sal. You can call me Jack. I'm a retired highway officer out of McKinley County. Worked the Gallup area for about 32 years. Spent more nights on Route 491 than I'd care to count.
Well, go ahead, Jack. I'm already interested. You're not by chance calling about that earlier caller, the guy losing time on the side of the road outside Gallup right there?
Yeah, that story really got my attention. I've seen it. Not just once. We used to call that stretch between Gallup and Shiprock the Dead Zone 9. That's what the old-timers always on the force called it. That stretch where everything gets just too quiet. Radios go fuzzy, speedometers wig out. Street lights. Well, when you're lucky enough to see one, they flicker and die when you get near them. But it's not just the electrical ones. That's not even the tip of the iceberg on it. Over the years, I logged at least 6 incident reports. Different people, different years, but all nearly identical. Night driving alone, sudden silence, and missing time. Then they woke up hours later off the side of the road, and there was always the photos.
Wait, the photos are the key to this whole thing? Or what'd you find out?
Well, hell yeah, digital cameras, old Nokias, flip phones, even dash cams. Files showed dozens of photos taken during the blackout window. But they're always taken from behind the driver, no matter where the camera was stowed. Sometimes the driver's asleep in the photo. Sometimes eyes are wide open, but they're like frozen or in a coma. One guy had 37 photos, every single one from the back seat. None of them remembered taking them. None of them ever had passengers with them. And one more thing, none of the cars ever had footprints leading up to or away from them.
Jack, you've got my skin crawling and the hair standing up on the back of my neck. I mean, did anyone ever investigate this?
Well, we tried, man, back in 98. One of our own, officer named Riley, experienced it himself. Found him on the shoulder at 3:20 a.m. with his cruiser door wide open. Engine running, dash cam was fried, body cam was dead. But his personal Polaroid, tucked in his vest, full of photos. Again, all from behind him. Except in the last one, there was something else in the back seat. We couldn't make it out fully. We had the thing examined every which way, and just the shape. It was thin and pale, had a long face, and couldn't make out any kind of eyes, just kind of dark in that area. Looked almost like it was leaning forward. Right after that, Riley quit the force, moved away. Wouldn't talk about it. He said he never drives at night anymore, last I heard. He won't even go a mile at nighttime.
So Jack, do you think it's, something supernatural?
Well, look, Sal, I don't pretend to know what it is. Navajo locals say that stretch is cursed. Old stories talk about something that walks between. Not skinwalkers, not ghosts. Something much older and something that is damn curious. But here's what gets me, Sal. I went back and I looked at every report and I pulled them. 6 drivers, 6 time gaps. All of them woke up exactly at 3:12 a.m. Not 3:10, not 3:15, but 3:12. I went back and I checked my old patrol logs for those nights. You know what time my radio static always kicked in? I couldn't hear anything. 3:12 a.m. Always the same. So yeah, Sal, I believe that caller. I know it's true. I lived it.
Well, it just doesn't get any more firsthand than that, does it? The one thing that I know for sure, I don't have any idea what's going on out there on that stretch in New Mexico. The whole thing with the pictures being taken is so bizarre to me. But the one thing that I do know about that whole story, and now we've heard a big follow-up on it, is that I personally am not ever going to be driving out on that stretch through New Mexico anytime, day or night. I'm just going to go ahead and avoid that, take a plane, or drive around. Wild Card Line, you are on the air.
Hey, Sal. It's T-Bone calling from the Badlands of Wyoming.
Well, T-Bone, you know what? I was wondering if we were going to hear from you tonight. It seems like we hear from you every third show. So it's good to hear your voice again. What's going on in the Badlands?
Been listening all night and had to call and tell you about something that happened. I figured share something I ain't talked about since it happened. Late September, about 5 years ago, back in the dry season, I was driving my old F-250 down the back road that don't show up on Google Maps. Locals just call it the Pioneer's Cut. Not much, just a dirt stretch between lake, grazing land, and the bad hills. No lights, no fences, and no reason to be out there unless you're lost or drunk. Well, I wasn't either. I was coming back from fixing a busted windmill on my neighbor's property. Anyway, it was just after 1 a.m. Moon was high and big and bloated. Then I see it, something lying there in the ditch. Thought it was a deer at first, but as I passed real slow, I noticed it was wearing a coat. I stopped, threw the truck in reverse, back up with my lights aimed down. It was a man, curled up, face down. Coat looked like old military issue, like maybe World War I or something like that. Heavy wool, horn at the sleeves, it was all dusty, but I didn't see any blood. So I got out, walked up slow, real cautious, and I asked, "Hey, you all right?" He didn't answer. I nudged him with my boot. He rolls over. And Sal, it was me. It was my doppelganger. Same face, same scar above the left eyebrow from a bar fight in Cheyenne. Same wedding band. Same damn jacket I was wearing. I stumbled back so hard I hit the bumper. But that thing, he's laid there. Mouth open like he was trying to say something, eyes looking right at me. I ran back to the trunk, jumped in and floored it. Drove till sunrise, didn't stop. I came back later that day with a deputy buddy of mine. Nothing. Not a footprint, not even a tire mark. No tracks. It was like the road just swallowed it all up. But that ain't the part that haunts me. 2 weeks ago, I was in the basement looking for old photos, and I found this old photo album. Found a box from my granddad. He fought in France in World War I, and inside a photo, black and white, faded. It was a group shot. All the soldiers in uniform. But Sal in the back row, there I was, that same face, with the same scar that I have. Only that photo was dated 1918, and the coat the man in the ditch was wearing was the exact same one.
Well, T-Bone, do you think maybe it was your grandfather and come back through some sort of portal or something, or what were you thinking?
No, Sal. I think I'm him, or maybe he was me, or it was some sort of time glitch, or he's my doppelganger, I don't know. Or maybe whatever I saw that night was something waiting for me. Some kind of loop that's not done yet. I haven't driven that road since, but sometimes when the wind's just right, I swear I hear boots behind me. I ain't walking anywhere.
Well, T-Bone, another great experience that you've shared with us here on the show. I really appreciate you calling in. And it looks like we've come to the end of the show again, and you're going to get the honors to close us out here in just a minute. But one thing I do want to say is that I've always wanted to do a show on doppelgangers where we have people call in telling about when they've met their doppelganger or if they have. And maybe that's something that we have coming up here in the future. But this has been another great night, people. I really appreciate everybody that's called in tonight with their sharing their events and their experiences and paranormal things that have happened in their life. And T-Bone, I'm going to kick it over to you. You know what to do. You have the honors once again.
Well, Sal, I want to thank you for giving it to me. And from the matrix of the mind and the bad lands of Wyoming, we wish you a good night, America.